Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very, very special guest joining us. We have Chelsey Stallings. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. Awesome. So, how's your day going? How's Nashville treating you?
It's good. The weather's been a little bit more mild today, which is nice, but I've spent most of the day indoors because I had co-writes all day. So,
Nice. Nice. Hey,
so there's that.
staying busy, right?
Staying busy, which I mean is what you do when you're here in Nashville, but I love it. I'd write music all day long if I could.
Oh, for sure. For sure. How long have you been in Nashville?
So, my family and I moved here about 6 years ago. But before that, I was traveling back and forth between Nashville and Utah, and I did that every other month for about 7 or 8 years.
Oh, wow. That,
So,
especially coming from Utah, that's quite the haul.
yeah, it's about 1,700 miles.
Yeah.
So
That,
it's crazy, but it's good.
right. Were you driving or flying? I'm assuming you were
Flying,
flying. Yeah. Okay.
flying. Oh my goodness. I've done that drive a couple of times though, and it is a drive.
Hmm.
It is a drive. So
Fair. Very fair. Whereabouts in Utah are you from?
so the Salt Lake Valley,
Mm.
my husband and I both grew up in South Jordan, Utah,
Okay.
which is right there in the Salt Lake Valley.
Hmm.
So
Nice. Yeah, we've gone up to Utah a couple different times. Mainly Salt Lake City, but
yeah.
we've stopped in Provo and
Hmm.
then out to Park City a little bit. So,
Yeah, most people when they go to Salt Lake City, Park City is definitely a stop
yeah,
for them. Park City is it's a special place.
it is. It's
So
a very hilly place.
very hilly place. Well, and it's not even hills there. I mean, people talk about like the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and I'm like, well, yeah, sure, there's Smoky Mountains, but when you get, to the Rockies and to those mountains there, it's a little different.
Right? Right, right. It really is.
So,
It's like even there was we went and did a recording session or like an acoustic session with a musician that we knew for a really long time. She lives in Park City. And just to get into her subdivision, it was like it felt like trekking Mount Everest, but obviously not. But
oh yeah,
yeah. So how
yeah,
long have
there's some
you
steep streets.
yeah. So how long have you been pursuing music professionally?
Oh my goodness. I feel like my music journey has been so interesting. Professionally, we'll just say collectively about 20 years.
Okay. Fair.
I started when I was in my teens, and then I've taken a few breaks here and there. Just I've got 3 kids, so every time I had a kid, basically, I took a little bit of a break from it,
Hmm.
and then, but it always called me back.
Fair. That's how you know you're passionate about it and that it's what you're meant to be doing when you keep getting called back to do it.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I've even had times where I've prayed like, can you make me not love this? So, because it's really difficult, but nope, that my prayers were not answered in that regard. So,
I would say in this case, that's probably a good thing.
it has been. It's been such a blessing. So, I love music industry. I mean, it can be a little bit crazy and complicated sometimes, but as far as like creating and putting your heart down on paper,
Yeah.
that's something for me that just is so life-giving. And then even more so when somebody will come up to you and say, "Hey, that song really meant something to me." That is everything for me.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree. It's really cool, been cool to kind of obviously, like I mentioned off camera, I just got back from Arizona, so I've had a lot of time to kind of dive into your music and just kind of listening to what's up on Spotify. I just feel that passion in your voice, in your writing, just like in the entire product. So,
That means so much. You have no idea how much that means to like an artist songwriter. That is like biggest compliment. Biggest compliment that you can ever give is that you can feel it.
yeah, because
So,
I've listened to a lot of music where it's like you could tell they're just kind of going through the steps
yeah,
because they were good at music or they liked it at one point, but then they got
yeah.
into the industry so far and it's like, well, I don't even like this anymore, but I'm going to do it because I'm good at it. So,
Well, and I think some people too, there are parts of the industry that will try to talk people into sticking with what's with what's like right in the center and what we've
Mhm.
already heard because it's safe. We know it works.
Mhm.
And so then people kind of step away from what they really want to do in their heart and start doing what people in the industry are telling them to do.
Yeah.
And that's something that I refuse to do. And not saying that, my songs, some of them won't be that, but
Mhm.
it has to be honest for me. That's one of my core values is honesty. And
Yes.
if the song doesn't feel honest, I can't do it.
For sure. Now, was that something instilled in you by your parents, or is that just kind of something you've always had?
I think that is something that is in my blood. My, we say all the time, my grandpa just passed away last January, and we say all the time that honesty was like the forefront of everything for
Mm.
him. I know my aunt told this story where she tried to give him a password to like her Disney Plus or her Netflix or something so that he could watch something. And it was like, oh, Dad, just take my password and you can watch this. And he wrote her this letter that was so sweet. And it was like, my darling daughter, thank you so much for your generosity, but I cannot. It feels too dishonest.
Wow.
And it's just
Yeah.
a password to something, right?
Yeah.
But I think that that's something that yes was instilled in me from my parents, but I think it's been passed down through generations.
Very fair. I've not, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I've not heard honesty getting taken to that extreme
I
for
neither have I.
so fair.
So he's
But
a good example of that
yeah, but good on him. He had his convictions and he stuck to it.
for sure. Yeah.
So, oh, so kind kind of looking at your music, where does the passion for music kind of come from? Was it your family that introduced you to that, or was it something you kind of found on your own?
Definitely something I found on my own. Music, my family they are not musical. Um, my dad has like a nice singing voice, but will only sing in church and will not sing loud enough for anybody to hear him. And my sister and I used to sing together, but that's not something that she was super passionate about and wanted to chase. For me, I think the first time when I realized it was something I was passionate about, I was 12 or 13 years old and I went to a Garth Brooks concert.
Oh, nice.
And when he sang the dance, I cried. And I remember thinking, that's what I want to do. I want to make people feel like that.
Nice.
And then for me, it was kind of dabbling in it. I kind of went through the motions of like, gosh, am I even good enough for this? Am I qualified for it? Is it even worth chasing? Because what if I fail?
Hmm.
And I've kind of done that throughout my whole career and finally just decided like, no, it's not about being qualified. It's about being passionate.
Hmm. Yeah.
And but that's the first memory I remember of like,
Yeah.
feeling that.
Yeah. And would you say Garth Brooks has kind of been an inspiration to you throughout your career, or has it kind of ebb and flowed as you've kind of gone through your musical career?
Garth Brooks definitely loved just the stories in his songs and the
Hmm.
imagery. Martina McBride is another big one for me. My second daughter is actually named McBride
Oh, nice.
after after Martina McBride, but I loved in her stuff that there's that power vocal, that power female vocal,
Hmm.
but just so much imagery weaved through. And she was brave enough to say things that no one else was saying, like the word cancer in a song. No one else was brave enough to say that, and she said it, and that song just was a smash, and it was something that people needed.
Hmm.
And so I would say those two. I have a lot of musical influences, but those two are probably the top two.
And would you say they're like the constant, no matter like what you're feeling, that those two are kind of always there?
For sure. And I think that you'll hear a little bit of their influence in my music too.
For sure, for sure.
So,
So, speaking of your music, where are you kind of at creatively right now? I know you just released a song back in October, right?
yeah, it was back in October.
Yeah.
So I have got two more songs coming out at the beginning of the year. I mean, right now it's Christmas time, right? We want
Yeah.
to hear Christmas music on the radio. Um, and I don't have any Christmas songs that I'm releasing this year. Maybe next year, we'll see.
Nice.
Um, but I have got on January 17th, I have a song coming out. And it's just piano vocal. It's
Nice.
very simple, it's very raw. Super excited about that one. And then another one coming out in February. So
Nice.
this next year will be a lot of music releases.
Sweet. I love the stripped back, like just piano and vocals. There's something about it that is so simple yet complicated in its own right that it's
Oh,
just
for
like
sure.
it speaks to me. Like whenever I hear that piano rev up or go, and it's just like, all right, I'm here for it. So,
I'm the same. I think one of my favorite recorded songs ever is I think it's Adele that sings Someone Like You,
mhm.
and it's just piano vocal.
Yeah,
That's all it is. And I think it allows the rawness to be there. You can't hide behind instrumentation.
no,
You
not at
have
all.
to hear what the voice can do. And but also, and bringing this word back in, it keeps the song really honest.
Hmm. Yeah, it does
So,
because you're not hiding behind all the fun little
mhm.
auto tune things that you can
Yep,
do, all the like, I mean, I'm sure there's a way you can work that in, but if you're recording it,
for sure.
it's like it kind of invokes this authenticity and this honesty in your
Yeah.
music. So,
Yeah, I try really hard not to auto tune anything.
mhm,
I mean, if it's something that really, really needs it, but I like to just if there's flaws in the vocal takes, sometimes I actually think that comes across more genuine and more real
mhm,
and more touchable. I think sometimes if the vocal's too perfect, it feels untouchable.
yeah,
And so I like to leave the flaws in the vocal.
mhm,
And I mean, like if it's horrendous, I'll just redo it.
yeah.
We all
Like,
have good days and bad days. Um, but but I like the more just raw nature of it.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. It like you said, it makes it feel real, and but it
mhm.
also gives it like this personal touch that
Yeah,
in the same vein that like a live recording will. Like, you, if you miss a whole chorus or something, it's a live recording.
yeah,
That's what it is,
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. It's true. I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. So, obviously you mentioned that you've got songs coming out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Where you kind of at creatively right now? Are you still recording those songs, or are they pretty much done and now it's like writing and looking at what's coming after that?
So I have a bunch of songs recorded. However, I kind of go with my gut
Hmm.
with what to release next. And if I write something even now, like I wrote a song today that I was like, man, I would cut that. I'd
Hmm.
release that. If it's something that I feel like I want to release quicker, it will get shuffled to the top of the pile. So I just go with my gut on those things and
Nice.
kind of read it that way. So there's not a specific plan. I don't have like a full album coming out right now. We're just
Yeah.
releasing singles. Um, but so it's kind of fun that way too, because it's I don't even know.
Fair.
After those two songs that are released in January, February, I don't even know what the next one's going to be.
Fair.
And so I don't know. It's gonna be fun to see.
Nice. So, is it fair to say that you're kind of always in a state of writing in some aspects?
Yes. Yeah, I think I spend the majority of my artist time writing.
Nice.
And I write with a lot of friends in town. I mean, they're like colleagues.
Hmm.
It's great. It's so fun. And sometimes we're writing for me, and sometimes we're writing for them, and sometimes we're writing for all three or four of us, and
Hmm.
all of us want to cut the song. And it's just like that's great. That gives it more of an opportunity. That gives it
Yeah.
more wings, to be able to fly. Um, so yeah, it's for me the collaboration process is the most fun part.
Nice. And that's something that it's not exclusive to Nashville, but it feels like it kind of is because
Hmm.
like writing sessions like that seem to kind
Yeah.
of always correlate back to Nashville.
Yeah, I think there's a Nashville way
Hmm.
that other people adopt and take. I know like in LA it's a little bit different. There can be 20, 30 writers on a song and they divide it up like word and percentage wise. Nashville, it's whoever's in the room that day gets an
Hmm.
equal percentage. So it could be two people, it could be five people.
Yeah.
And it's more of a camaraderie and a collaboration, and everybody's voice finds its way into the song,
Hmm.
which I think is really special. I mean, even one of the songs that we wrote today, it was my idea. I've carried it around for a while, but it would not have taken the life that it took without my co-writer.
Hmm. Yeah.
I never would have been able to come up with what we came up with on my own.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah,
I was just gonna say I'd never heard that's how like the co-write stuff was divvied up when it comes to the
yep,
back end part of things. And the scary thing about the way that LA does it, where they like on a per word basis, it almost makes it feel more like a competition at that point, where
mhm,
it's like, oh, I got 50% of the words in, so I take 50%. Whereas in Nashville and the way that Nashville kind of does it, it's like, no, we're all in this together, whether you contribute one sentence
yep,
of whatever, so
yep, for sure. Well, and I'm a big believer too that like even if somebody's in the room and they're not saying a lot or contributing a lot, sometimes it's just the vibe that they bring
hmm
that like brings something else out of you, and that's just as valuable
hmm
as contributing melody or words or phrasing or whatever it is. um just I mean, like, there's a song that I wrote. It's actually the one that's coming out in January, and it was my idea, and a lot of the things were just like coming out of my mouth, but without my co-writer in the room, he like took my crazy brain and organized it.
yeah. You, you need somebody like that just to kind of like, especially if you're on like a train, a word vomit of thought,
Yep.
you need somebody that can kind of catch all that and be like, okay,
Yes.
it's
So
down, let's figure it out.
totally. And I think you have to find people that you can be vulnerable enough with, that you can just word vomit
Hmm.
and let it come out. Because I always say, like, usually the first line that comes to my brain is something that's so dumb and not clever and not, but I say that, like, and this, I excuse my, way of saying this. It's not the most, whatever. It's not the most ladylike way, but it's, you've got to get the crap out or you'll get constipated.
Okay, I love that.
It is what I say. So it's just like get it out, word vomit it so that it's not rattling around in my brain,
Mhm.
and then we can move on.
Okay. I've seen songwriters do that with whole songs. Like they had
Hmm.
an idea stuck in their head that they can't move on from until they get the song out. They write the song, and it's like, I have no intention of actually doing anything with this. I
Yeah.
just need to get it out of my brain. And now it's down.
Yep.
And later on, if I want to do something with it, cool.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Sometimes you just got to get it out of the way.
yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, so where are you kind of at show wise right now? I know you mentioned that you're getting ready to go play a show here in a bit, but where are you
Yeah.
kind of at in that front? How often are you playing?
Oh man. Right now I'm playing like 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, nice.
I mostly do writers rounds now. I'm not doing a lot of cover shows anymore. I still do those occasionally, but it's usually writers rounds. But this time of year we kind of slow down a little bit more, take a little bit of a break. And then in March, April, we'll start tour season. And my tour season lasts until about November.
Nice.
And it's like every other weekend, I'll be traveling across the country doing shows.
Nice. So you pretty much just got off the road then?
Yeah. So gosh, when did I get back? A week and a half ago was
Okay.
my last show for the year that was away. So
Nice. Nice.
yeah.
And where do you go? Like you'll go pretty much anywhere or?
Yeah. So a lot of my shows are out west since that's where I'm from. So like Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, that area. I've been to Texas a little bit. I've been like just other places too, like Carolinas and stuff like that. But and it just kind of continues to grow
Yeah.
slowly over time. So but yeah, a lot of it's out west.
Nice. We'll have to get you down here to Texas a little bit more.
I would love that. I love Texas
I do too. I do.
so much.
I had I I've told a few people this. It's like
Yeah.
had I moved to Nashville before Texas,
Hmm.
I'd stay in Nashville. But now I'm in Texas and it's like I think I'll just come visit Nashville every once in a while and I'll be completely content with my life.
Well,
So,
the weather is usually nicer in Texas too.
eh,
I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on where you are. Um, but I mean, it's been really cold here this week,
yeah.
which is not normal for usually
Mm,
we've got, in the 60s and 70s still, but we've
yeah.
had a cold front move in. But then you get the tornadoes and the rain and
Yeah.
the all the things.
Oh yeah.
Um, Texas holds a special place in my heart. Every summer, my dad and I would go to the Fort Worth, Dallas area,
Okay.
and we did. I train horses, so
Hmm.
I competed in horses, and we were there every summer for about a month for the World Horse Championship.
Nice.
And so I would compete and just
Nice.
kind of live in Texas, and it was great. Loved it.
Nice. Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth is a whole different animal. That it like
Yeah,
so I live in Waco, so I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Dallas, depending
I
on what.
love Waco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's I I just need to get out of the apartment. I need to go get my own place.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's my only gripe at this point is I just need to go get a place that isn't an apartment. So,
Yeah. Well, gosh, Waco got put on the map with the Fixer Uppers, isn't it? There
yep,
isn't it Fixer Upper? Yep.
yep.
Got put
They
on the map with that.
they did, and it drove property value up, and now I think Discovery still has an office out here. Like they have a whole
Okay.
production. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. So one of these days I'll get out there. I would love to. That would be
nice.
fun.
It'd be really cool. I keep preaching the Texas and just kind of getting people to come
Mhm.
out here because like obviously Austin's got a really cool live scene
Yeah.
and Nashville's got its own really cool scene and it's like it's really easy to travel from Austin to Nashville.
Yeah.
And I think as the both communities continue to grow, you're going to see like a musical highway from Nashville to Austin,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a sight to see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Well, gosh, one of these days I'll get down to Waco, do a show out there.
nice.
Be really fun.
I will be there. I will be
Love
there.
it. I
So
would love it.
yeah, it's it's got a cool scene down here. I don't how long ago have you or how long has it been since you've been to Waco?
Oh gosh, it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, a long time. I mean, way before the whole Fixer Upper stuff. So,
I forget how new the Fixer Upper stuff is.
yeah.
Like especially for how long it's been like I think maybe 7 8 years. So
Yeah.
yeah. Eh,
Which seems like it's been way longer.
right. Really. It really has. It really has. So um so kind of outside of music,
Yeah.
what do you like to do to decompress to, kind of get away
Mhm.
from the pressures of life?
Oh, horses.
Yeah.
I've got two of my own horses and then I train other horses. I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit as I've gotten busier with music.
Mhm.
And just time issue. And then I had a rescue horse I brought home last summer and she fell on me and broke my leg, so
Oh,
had to take some time off to heal from that. Um, but my own two horses, I, ride them as much as I possibly can and spend as much time with them. And they're like my children.
yeah.
So I might actually like them more than my children. I'm just kidding. That's not true. I don't like them more than my children, but some days. Um, so that, and then I teach fitness classes. So I love doing that. That's kind of an outlet for me. It's a good way to get out any frustration or anger.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Eh. So how far outside of Nashville do you have to go to get to like a horse stable or where you keep your horses?
Yeah, so I mean, there are stables within 20 minutes of Nashville. I live about 45, 50 minutes outside of Nashville. So the drive in every day is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I try to stack my days so that I just stay in Nashville for the day and then I try to schedule time where I'm just out there
Hmm.
and being able to ride the horses and, be mom and all the things. Um, but I mean, as it gets busier, it's been harder to do that, but I'm gonna have to get to a point where I'm have to really like solidify a
Yeah.
schedule and just stick to it, which is very hard for me to do. It's just hard for me to say no to
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like 45, 50 minutes, which sounds like a lot, but I don't mind it.
Hmm. I mean, it's really not like I mean, you grew up in Utah, so you
Yeah,
probably had a similar situation I did like when I was living out in New Mexico, where it took an hour to 3 hours to get anywhere.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's like you need to go to a specialist or go somewhere, and it's like,
mhm,
okay, you're going to Albuquerque or you're going to El Paso, and it's going to take three
yeah,
hours. So,
yeah. I mean, Utah's pretty, gosh, I mean, to get downtown would only take about 15 minutes or so, and
Hmm.
it's pretty packed
Yeah,
with, I mean, you can find all the doctors, all the specialists, all the things kind of right there. But so it definitely did take me a little bit of time to get used to the drive.
yeah,
But now that I'm used to it, when we go back and visit, I'm like, everything's so close.
right,
And it almost feels claustrophobic.
right.
Like everything's right on top of each other. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. Because out here, I mean, we've got fields
Yeah.
and space to breathe and
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So I'm originally from Chicago. So when I go back home, it's
Hmm.
like, oh, you mean it's only going to take me 5 minutes to get to the store? Okay,
Yep.
cool. You know?
Yep.
So it's
So
and like my whole concept of time and how long it takes to do something is like completely off when I go home. So
yeah. Oh no, totally. I know. I think where we live, the closest store to us is like 20 minutes.
yeah.
And so, but that's just normal for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
So,
I 100% get it.
yeah.
Uh, so I don't want to keep you here too much longer because I know you got your show coming up here in a little bit.
Okay, you're
Uh,
good.
what's kind of the obviously you mentioned the new single or the new
Yeah.
music coming out at the beginning of the year, but what's kind of the plan looking into 2025? Do you already have shows on the books once like touring season kicks up, or are you still kind of trying to figure all that out?
I have some shows on the books already, just things that I do reoccurring every year. But man, I'm just kind of at this point open to all the possibilities. It seems like career-wise, things are kind of ramping up,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really know what to expect from
That's fair.
2025. I mean, it could be a lot more of the same, and it could surprise me, and so I'm just kind of open to the surprises
Mm-hmm.
and see what happens. So, I mean, it can only get better, right?
Hmm. Oh, 100%. I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat
Mm-hmm.
where it's like the pandemic hit and
Yep.
that kind of slowed everything down until about the end of 2022. In
Yep.
2023, people were kind of half in, half out, where it's like, okay, are we going to get shut down again or are we good to go? Are we going to get
Yeah.
shut down again or are we get good to go?
Yeah.
And then this year, it's just kind of been full bore. Everything's kind of recovered from at least like from the backup of bookings and all that stuff is kind of
Yeah.
recovered and everybody's just kind of full bore ahead. And 2024 was a big year for us and it was a big year for
Mhm.
you. And 2025 is just going to be like this anomaly that nobody's expecting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I'm excited to see what happens.
nice. So do you do like CRS and CMA Fest and like all that fun stuff or?
Yeah, so CRS, I haven't played CRS yet. Usually I think I've been out of town doing shows every single CRS week,
Mhm.
that I've been here. But CMA Fest, I played this last year.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a reoccurring on my schedule thing.
Nice.
So, and CMA Fest is so fun.
Yeah. I
It's great.
can't believe I missed you because it was like I was doing interviews up in the media room.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it
Okay, yeah.
it was one of those things where I got invited to CRS and then everybody's like, "Are you coming to CMA Fest?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"I don't know. Can I? Like, is that a thing?"
Like, yeah,
And
I am.
so and then like 2 months later, it's like, "Oh, you got approved." And it's like
Yeah,
sick. So yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Hey, and so I'll be coming back every year as long as I can.
Hey, that's
So,
awesome. Well, maybe I'll actually get to meet you in person this year.
yeah, it's Nashville's a fun place to come visit. I don't know if I can
It
handle
is.
living in Nashville, but that's a whole separate different conversation to have.
Well,
So,
I think when people think about Nashville, they think about Broadway,
hmm.
or like we like to call Nash Vegas.
Hmm.
And I will say that most of us avoid Broadway.
Hmm. Oh, I do too. I
It's
avoid it like the plague.
oh, it's so crowded. Parking's expensive. I mean, unless we're playing a show on Broadway, we avoid it
Hmm.
and try to just go off the beaten path a little bit. So it's when you get outside of Nashville that, it's the rolling hills and it's pastures and it's a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. I hang out in East Nashville when I'm in town. I like
Yeah,
hanging out in East Nashville. So,
Yeah, East is really cool. It's very
Yeah.
trendy, cool part of town. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. So, if anybody wants to check out your music, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
so I mean, all streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music. I'm even on YouTube. All the things. I mean, I'm on Instagram, obviously, at Chelsey Stallings, and it's Chelsey with a Y, so Chelseey. And if you get to the page with all the horses, that's me. You'll know
Nice.
you found the right place. And then on TikTok, I am horse singer Chelsey. And I have to say horse singer separate because if I don't, it's horse singer. And that gets a little confusing for the one word. So horse singer, separate
Yep.
words,
Yep.
Chelsey. Yep.
100%.
You got it.
As you were explaining it, I was like, oh, I can see where that'd be a problem. That's
Yep.
very funny.
Uh-huh.
So,
Horse with an H.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. I really appreciate your time.
Same. Thank you.
Um, and once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.